Ionosphere. The layer of the atmosphere above the mesosphere that contains a high concentration of ions and electrons and is able to reflect radio waves. Joust. Of a medieval knight, fight an opponent on horseback with lances. Kestrel. A small falcon that hovers with rapidly beating wings while searching for prey. Lamentable. Of circumstances or conditions, very bad. Lascivious. Feeling or showing obvious sexual desire. LASIK. Eye surgery to correct vision in which a laser reshapes the inner cornea. Lawman. A law enforcement officer, especially a sheriff. Madrigal. A 16th or 17th century song for several voices without instrumental accompaniment. Midstream. The middle of a stream or river. Misfire. Of a gun, failed to fire properly. Monocle. A single lens worn to improve sight in one eye. Monopolize. Dominate or take control of. Mugger. A person who attacks and robs someone in a public place. Nibs. Informal, dated a mock title used to refer to a man who thinks he is important. OED. Dated a female student at a coeducational institution. Opossum. An American marsupial mammal with a tail that it can use for grasping. Orthopedics. The branch of medicine concerned with bones and muscles. Overwrought. In a state of nervous excitement or anxiety. Paraguayan. A person from Paraguay. Penne. Pasta in the form of short wide tubes. Penta. 5, having 5. Petiole. The stalk that joins a leaf to a stem. Pollster. A person who carries out or analyzes opinion polls. Polonium. A rare radioactive metallic element. Pommel. The upward curving or projecting front part of a saddle. Ponderous. Slow and clumsy because of great weight. Pudgy. Informal, fat or flabby. Quotable. Suitable for or worth quoting. Ratty. Resembling or like a rat. Reflectance. Physics, a property of a surface equal to the proportion of the light shining on it that it reflects or scatters. Relegate. Place someone or something in a less important rank or position. Reservist. A member of a military reserve force. Resettle. Settle or cause to settle in a different place. Restate. State something again or differently. Retinol. Vitamin A. Revenant. A person who has returned, especially supposedly from the dead. Runt. A small pig or other animal, especially the smallest in a litter. Satyr. In Greek mythology, a lustful, drunken woodland god, represented as a man with a horse's ears and tail or, in Roman myth, with a goat's ears, tail, legs, and horns. Sciatica. Pain affecting the back, hip, and outer side of the leg, caused by pressure on the sciatic nerve root in the lower back. Scimitar. A short sword with a curved blade that broadens toward the point, first used in Eastern countries. Scrubber. A brush for scrubbing. Scud. Move quickly, driven by the wind. Seesaw. A long plank balanced on a fixed support, on each end of which children sit and move up and down by pushing the ground with their feet. Sidewinder. A burrowing rattlesnake of North American deserts that moves sideways by throwing its body into S-shaped curves. Skylark. A common Old World lark that sings while rising slowly high into the air. Skyway. A route used by aircraft. Sociocultural. Combining social and cultural factors. Speculum. Medicine, a metal instrument that is used to widen an opening or passage in the body to allow inspection. Sty. A pigsty. Subjugate. Conquer or gain control of someone or something. Sublet. Let a property or part of a property that one is already renting to someone else. Sunder. Literary one split something apart. Swoosh. The sound produced by a sudden rush of air or liquid. Thermoelectric. Producing electricity by a difference of temperatures. Udon. Large noodles made from wheat flour. Unrefined. Not processed to remove impurities. Unsportsmanlike. Not behaving according to the spirit of fair play in a particular sport. Uppercase. Capital letters. Vaporize. Convert a substance into vapor. Varietal. Of a wine or grape, made from or belonging to a single specified variety of grape. Vestigial. Remaining as the last small part of something. Virginal. Relating to or appropriate for a virgin. Vitreous. Resembling glass in appearance. Zilch. Informal nothing. Afire. And adverb chiefly literary, on fire, burning. Aflame. In flames. Aliasing. Physics and telecommunications, the misidentification of a signal frequency, introducing distortion or error. Alleluia. Variant spelling of hallelujah. Al-Len Wrench / Allen / Alphanumeric. Made up of or using both letters and numerals. Apace. Literary quickly. Arugula. An edible Mediterranean plant eaten in salads. AstroTurf. Trademark, an artificial grass surface, used for sports fields. Bambino. A baby or young child. Biannual. Occurring twice a year. Bier. A movable platform on which a coffin or dead body is placed before burial. Biplane. An early type of aircraft with two pairs of wings, one above the other. Boomtown. A town undergoing rapid growth due to sudden prosperity. Bullfighting. The sport of baiting and killing a bull for public entertainment. Buzzy. Informal, of a place or atmosphere, lively and exciting. Callow. Inexperienced and immature. Certiorari. Law, a writ or order by which a higher court reviews a decision of a lower court. Checkerboard. A board for playing checkers and similar games, having a regular checkered pattern in black and white. Chinaman. Chiefly old use or derogatory, a native of China. Choline. Biochemistry, a strongly basic compound occurring widely in living tissues and important in the synthesis and transport of lipids. Circumspect. Wary and unwilling to take risks, cautious. Consign. Consign someone/thing to, put someone or something in a place so as to be rid of them. Copter. Informal, a helicopter. Cowbell. A bell hung around a cow's neck. Crabby. Bad-tempered, irritable. Cretan. A person from the Greek island of Crete. Crocus. A small spring-flowering plant with bright yellow, purple, or white flowers. Depreciate. Reduce in value over time. Dietetics. The branch of knowledge concerned with the diet and its effects on health. Diploid. Containing two complete sets of chromosomes, one from each parent. Dissociate. Disconnect or separate something from something else. Downriver. An adjective toward or situated at a point nearer the mouth of a river. Dressmaker. A person who makes women's clothes. Elysian. Relating to or like paradise. Emote. Show emotion in an exaggerated way. Episcopalian. Relating to the government of a church by bishops. Ermine. A stoat. Featureless. Lacking in distinguishable or interesting characteristics. Fiendish. Very cruel or unpleasant. Finery. Showy clothes or decoration. Fishnet. An open mesh fabric resembling a fishing net. Flit. Move swiftly and lightly. Gnat. A small two-winged fly resembling a mosquito. Grecian. Relating to ancient Greece, especially its architecture. Gunboat. A small ship armed with guns. Haptic. Technical, relating to the sense of touch. Headlock. A method of restraining someone by holding an arm firmly around their head. Headpiece. A device worn on the head. Humidifier. A device that increases indoor atmospheric moisture. Hypersensitive. Abnormally or excessively sensitive. Idiomatic. Using expressions that are natural to a native speaker of a language. Impudent. Not showing less respect to someone, impertinent. Incentivize. Provide with an incentive for doing something. Incontrovertible. Not able to be denied or disputed. Incorruptible. Not able to be corrupted, especially by taking bribes. Incubate. Of a bird, sit on eggs to keep them warm and hatch them. In-flight. Occurring or provided during an aircraft flight. Isomer. Chemistry, each of two or more compounds with the same formula but a different arrangement of atoms and different properties. Jamb. A side post of a doorway, window, or fireplace. Kurd. A member of a mainly Islamic people living in Kurdistan, an area composed of parts of Turkey, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. Ladylike. Appropriate for or typical of a well-mannered woman or girl. Lifer. Informal, a person serving a life sentence in prison. Lignite. A type of soft brownish coal. Lobotomy. A surgical operation involving cutting into part of the brain, formerly used to treat mental illness. Magisterial. Having or showing great authority. Manse. A house provided for a minister of certain Christian churches, especially the Scottish Presbyterian Church. Marzipan. A sweet paste of ground almonds, sugar, and egg whites, used to coat cakes or to make confectionery. Masterly. Performed or performing very skillfully. Masterwork. A masterpiece. Masthead. The highest part of a ship's mast. Masthead. Gain complete knowledge of or skill in a subject, technique, etc. Matting. Material used for mats, especially coarse fabric woven from a natural fiber. Metabolize. Process a substance by metabolism. Moldovan. A person from Moldova, a country in SE Europe. Neglectful. Failing to give proper care or attention to someone or something. Nutcase. Informal, a mad or foolish person. Oligocene. Geology relating to the third epoch of the Tertiary period, 35.4 to 23.3 million years ago, when the first primates appeared. Overconfident. Excessively confident. Parquet. Flooring composed of wooden blocks arranged in a geometric pattern. Perdition. In Christian belief, a state of eternal damnation into which a sinful person who has not repented passes after death. Pith. Spongy white tissue lining the rind of citrus fruits. Plaintive. Sounding sad and mournful. Polyunsaturated. Referring to fats whose molecules contain several double or triple bonds, believed to be less healthy in the diet than monounsaturated fats. Popularize. Make something popular. Praiseworthy. Deserving approval and admiration. Quechua. 14 member of an American Indian people of Peru and neighboring countries. Rapeseed. Seeds of the rape plant, used to make oil. Rarefied. Aver, of Lower Ethiopia, was the Messiah, and that black people are pressure than usual, Finn. Recumbent. Lying down. reverent, showing deep respect. Salacious, having or showing too much interest in sexual matters. Sandpiper, a wading bird with a long bill and long legs, found in coastal areas. Scabbard, a sheath for the blade of a sword or dagger. Scapula, technical term for shoulder blade. Shoe, old-fashioned variant of show. Sidearm, a weapon worn at a person's side, such as a pistol or other small firearm, or, formerly, a sword or bayonet. Signpost, a sign on a post, giving information such as the direction and distance to a nearby town. Skate park, an area set aside and equipped for skateboarding. Slicker, a raincoat. Spaceman, a male astronaut. Spline, a rectangular key fitting into grooves in the hub and shaft of a wheel. Springy, springing back quickly when squeezed or stretched. Spritz, spray liquid in quick short bursts at or onto something. Statics, the branch of mechanics concerned with bodies at rest and forces in equilibrium. Stepbrother, a son of one's stepparent by a marriage other than that with one's own father or mother. Streaky, having streaks. Sundial, a device used for telling the time, consisting of a pointer that casts a shadow on a surface marked with hours like a clock. Supranational, having power or influence that goes beyond national boundaries or governments. Taoiseach, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Ireland. Telekinesis, the supposed ability to move objects at a distance by mental power or other non-physical means. Telematics, the branch of information technology that deals with the long-distance transmission of computerized information. Time-lapse, 1367 time switch, taking a sequence of frames at set intervals to record changes that take place slowly over time. Tiramisu, an Italian dessert consisting of layers of sponge cake soaked in coffee and brandy, with powdered chocolate and mascarpone cheese. Tranche, any of the parts into which something, especially an amount of money or an issue of shares in a company, is divided. Travelogue, a movie, book, or illustrated talk about a person's travels. Undersigned, formal, the person or people who have signed the document in question. Underused, not used as much as it could or should be. Unionize, join or cause to join a labor union. Untraceable, unable to be found or traced. Urbane, confident, courteous, and sophisticated. Welter, a large confused or disorganized mass or quantity. Woodwind, wind instruments other than brass instruments forming a section of an orchestra, including flutes, oboes, and clarinets. Absolutism, the political principle that a ruler or government should have unlimited power. Aldehyde, chemistry, an organic compound formed by the oxidation of an alcohol. Ambit, the scope or extent of something, Astigmatism. A defect in an eye or lens that prevents it from focusing properly. Audiophile. An enthusiast of recorded music. Avast. Nautical stop, cease. Backgammon. A board game in which two players move their pieces around triangular points according to the throw of dice. Barbarity. Extreme cruelty. Begone. Old use, go away at once. Belie. Fail to give a true idea of. Birdcage. A cage for pet birds. Birthmark. An unusual, typically permanent, mark on the body that is there from birth. Bisque. A rich soup made from lobster or other shellfish. Blackfoot. A member of an allied group of North American Indian peoples of the Northwestern Plains. Botulism. Food poisoning caused by a bacterium growing on preserved foods that have not been properly sterilized. Boxcar. An enclosed railroad freight car. Brougham. Historical one, a horse-drawn carriage with a roof and an open driver's seat in front. Calyx. The sepals of a flower, forming a protective layer around a flower and bud. Cannula. A thin tube put into the body to administer medication, drain off fluid, or insert a surgical instrument. Cartwheel. A circular sideways handspring with the arms and legs extended. Citron. The large, lemon-like fruit of an Asian tree. Clef. Music, any of several cymbals placed on a stave, indicating the pitch of the notes written on the stave. Clothesline. A rope or wire on which washed clothes are hung to dry. Codon. Biochemistry, a sequence of 3 nucleotides that together form a unit of genetic code in a DNA or RNA molecule. Contusion. Medicine, a bruise. Corsican. A person from Corsica. Cranny. A small, narrow space or opening. Cretin. A stupid person. Debrief. Question someone in detail about a completed mission. Desertification. The process by which fertile land becomes desert. Dictum. A formal or authoritative statement. Distro. Computing one, a distribution, especially of Linux software or of webzines. Ecliptic. Astronomy, a great circle on the celestial sphere representing the sun's apparent circular path among the stars during the year. Effusive. Expressing gratitude or approval in an unrestrained way. Equidistant. At equal distances. Feldspar. A mineral forming igneous rocks, consisting chiefly of aluminum silicates. Finicky. Fussy about one's requirements. Flatbread. An unleavened bread. Glutton. An excessively greedy eater. Goner. Informal, a person or thing that is doomed or cannot be saved. Guardrail. A rail that prevents people from falling off or being hit by something. Gunk. Informal and unpleasantly sticky or messy substance. Humanize. Make something more pleasant or suitable for people. Hypnotism. The study or practice of hypnosis. Illiberal. Restricting freedom of thought or behavior. Impressionistic. Based on personal impressions or reactions. Initialize. Computing one, often be initialized to, set to the value or put in the condition appropriate to the start of an operation. Internationalism. The belief in or promotion of cooperation and understanding between nations. Ironwood. Any of a number of trees that produce very hard timber, including the hornbeam. Kirsch. Brandy distilled from the fermented juice of cherries. Letterpress. Printing from a hard, raised image under pressure, using viscous ink. Lignin. A complex organic substance found in the cell walls of many plants, making them rigid and woody. Limber. The detachable front part of a gun carriage. Limber. Warm up in preparation for exercise or activity. Malawian. A person from Malawi in South-Central Africa. Mantelpiece. A structure surrounding a fireplace. Matchless. So good that no one or nothing is an equal. Maxilla. The bone of the upper jaw. Metalwork. The art of making things from metal. Milkweed. An herbaceous American plant that attracts butterflies and produces a milky sap. Milligram. 1/1000th of a gram. Minoan. Relating to a Bronze Age civilization centered on Crete, cent. 3000–1050 BC. Mutilate. Cause a severe and disfiguring injury to someone. Mycelium. Botany and network of fine white filaments, hyphae, making up the main part of a fungus, usually invisible above ground. Necropolis. A cemetery, especially a large ancient one. Noncompliance. Failure to act in accordance with a wish or command. Ocarina. A small egg-shaped wind instrument with holes for the fingers. Odometer. An instrument for measuring the distance traveled by a vehicle. Pashto. The official language of Afghanistan, also spoken in northern Pakistan. Penmanship. The art or skill of writing by hand. Perfunctory. Carried out with very little effort or interest. Phenyl. Chemistry the radical. Photojournalism. The taking and publishing of photographs as a means of communicating news. Prize. Variant spelling of prize. Purim. A Jewish festival held in spring to commemorate the defeat of Haman's plot to massacre the Jews. Quartzite. A compact, hard, granular rock consisting mainly of quartz. Raring. Informal, very eager to do something. Reformatory. Especially in names, a prison. Repudiate. Refuse to accept something. Retinopathy. Disease of the retina of the eye that results in impairment or loss of vision. Revelatory. Revealing something previously unknown. Rewire. Provide a building, device, or vehicle with new electric wiring. Russet. Reddish-brown. Scuff. Scrape a shoe or other object against something. Servile. Excessively willing to serve or please others. Sheepdog. A dog trained to guard and herd sheep. Shoshone. A member of an American Indian people living chiefly in Wyoming, Idaho, and Nevada. Sibyl. A woman supposedly able to pass on the messages and prophecies of a god. Smarty. Informal, a person who behaves as if they know everything. Soliloquy. A speech in a play in which a character speaks their thoughts aloud when alone on stage. Specious. Seeming reasonable or plausible, but actually wrong. Stepsister. A daughter of one's stepparent by a marriage other than that with one's own father or mother. Stradivarius. A violin or other stringed instrument made by the Italian violin maker Antonio Stradivari or his followers. Synoptic. Relating to a synopsis. Tannin. A bitter yellowish or brownish substance present in tea, grapes, and the bark of some trees. Tantalum. A hard silver-gray metallic chemical element. Telethon. A long television program broadcast to raise money for a charity. Therefrom. Old use or formal from that or that place. Tonality. The character of a piece of music as determined by the key in which it is played or the relationships between the notes of a scale or key. Trowel. A small garden tool with a curved scoop for lifting plants or earth. Unaccustomed. Not usual or customary. Unawares. So as to surprise someone, unexpectedly. Unlearn. Attempt to forget something that has been learned. Unscrew. Unfasten something by twisting it. Valance. A length of fabric screening the curtain fittings above a window. Ventriloquist. An entertainer who can make their voice seem to come from a dummy of a person or animal. Vide. Covered in ivy. Vociferous. Expressing opinions in a loud and forceful way. Weft. The crosswise threads that are passed over and under the warp thread's own loom to make cloth. Whereof. Formal of what or which. Zirconium. A hard silver-gray metallic chemical element. Academician. An academic. Acetylene. A gas that burns with a bright flame, used in welding. Alkaloid. Chemistry, any of a class of organic compounds containing nitrogen that have significant physiological effects on humans. Amide. Chemistry, one, an organic compound containing the group. Astronautics. The science and technology of space travel and exploration. Basso. A bass voice or vocal part. Berate. Scold or criticize someone angrily. Blotter. A sheet or pad of blotting paper kept on a desk. Broil. Cook meat or fish using direct heat, especially heat that radiates downward. Bromine. A dark red liquid chemical element of the halogen group, with a strong, irritating smell. Bucolic. Relating to country life. Cantata. A narrative or descriptive piece of accompanied vocal music, typically for solos, chorus, and orchestra. Chartreuse. A pale green or yellow liqueur made from brandy. Coulter. A vertical cutting blade attached to the front of a plowshare. Combust. Burn or be burned by fire. Commercialism. Emphasis on making maximum profit. Dilate. Make or become wider, larger, or more open. Dray. A low vehicle or cart without sides, for delivering barrels or other heavy loads. Duopoly. A situation in which two suppliers dominate a market. Eyepiece. The lens that is closest to the eye in a microscope or other optical instrument. Facies. Medicine, the facial expression of a person that is typical of a particular disease or condition. Fluvial. Chiefly geology relating to or found in a river. Fop. A man who is excessively concerned with his clothes and appearance. Frankincense. An aromatic resinous substance obtained from an African tree and burned as incense. Gerbil. A mouse-like desert rodent, often kept as a pet. Gossamer. A fine, filmy substance consisting of cobwebs spun by small spiders. Gruel. A thin liquid food of oatmeal boiled in milk or water. Happenstance. Coincidence. Head count. A count of the number of people present. Heartthrob. Informal, a man, typically a celebrity, whose good looks excite romantic feelings. Humorist. A writer or speaker who is known for being amusing. Idyll. A very happy or peaceful period or situation. Icon. Variant spelling of icon, sense one. Illusionist. A magician or conjurer. Implantable. Capable of or designed for being implanted in living tissue. Inattentive. Not paying attention. Indent. Form hollows, dents, or notches in something. Indiscreet. Too ready to reveal things that should remain secret or private. Indium. A soft silvery white metallic chemical element resembling zinc, used in some alloys and semiconductor devices. Jibe. And verb variant spelling of sice. Jibe. Informal, be in accordance or agree with something. Joule. The unit of work or energy in the SI system. Kalashnikov. A type of rifle or submachine gun made in Russia. Kissy. Informal, involving or fond of kissing, amorous. Lamina. Technical Athen layer, plate or scale of sedimentary rock, organic tissue, or other material. Lectern. A tall stand with a sloping top used to support a book or papers from which a speaker can read while standing up. Loach. A small freshwater fish with several long, thin growths, barbels, near the mouth. Macrophage. A large phagocytic cell found in stationary form in the tissues or as a 779 made mobile white blood cell, especially at sites of infection. Mahayana. One of the two major traditions of Buddhism, the other being Theravada, practiced especially in China, Tibet, Japan, and Korea. Marionette. A puppet worked by strings. Microfiber. A very fine synthetic yarn. Morose. Sullen and bad-tempered. Numerology. The study of the supposed magical power of numbers. Pally. Informal, having a close, friendly relationship. Permaculture. The development of agricultural ecosystems that are intended to be sustainable and self-sufficient. Phoneme. Any of the distinct units of sound that distinguish one word from another, e.g., p, bd, and t in pad, pat, bad, and bat. Plebeian. Lower class or unsophisticated. Precession. The slow movement of the axis of a spinning body around another axis. Preempt. Take action in order to prevent something from happening. Racquetball. A game played with a rubber ball and a short-handled racket in a four-walled court. Ream. 500, formerly 480, sheets of paper. Refractor. A lens or other object that causes refraction. Regrow. Grow or cause to grow again. Riposte. A quick, clever reply to a critical or insulting remark. Rive. USU. Salutation. Formal a greeting. Sapper. A military engineer who lays or detects and disarms mines. Sciatic. Relating to the hip. Sessile. Technical one, of an organism, e.g., a barnacle, fixed in one place, immobile. Settee. A long upholstered seat for more than one person, typically with a back and arms. Skimmer. A utensil, device, or craft for removing a substance from the surface of water or other liquid. Smithereens. Informal small pieces. Sodden. Soaked through. Specie. Money in the form of coins rather than notes. Stalinism. The ideology and policies adopted by the Soviet Communist Party leader and head of state Joseph Stalin, based on dictatorial state control and the pursuit of communism. Stinker. Informal, a very unpleasant person or thing. Stirrup. Each of a pair of metal loops attached at either side of a horse's saddle to support the rider's foot. Sultanate. The rank or position of a sultan. Superbike. A high-performance motorcycle. Synchronicity. The occurrence of events at the same time, which appear to be related but have no obvious connection. Tabular. Of data, consisting of or presented in columns or tables. Tawdry. Showy but cheap and of poor quality. Thalamus. Each of two masses of gray matter in the front part of the brain, relaying sensory information to other parts of the brain. Torchlight. The light of a torch or torches. Transom. The flat surface forming the stern of a boat. Uncountable. Too many to be counted. Unearthly. Unnatural or mysterious. Unfashionable. Not fashionable or popular. Unlit. Not provided with lighting. Unpaved. Not having a paved surface. Velour. A thick, soft fabric resembling velvet. Verbose. Using more words than are needed. Vespers. A service of evening prayer, especially in the Western Christian Church. Vilify. Speak or write about someone in a very abusive way. Windswept. Of a place exposed to strong winds. Zookeeper. A person employed to look after the animals in a zoo. Afflict. Cause pain or trouble to. Agronomy. The science of soil management and crop production. Apotheosis. The highest point. Ought. The digit 0, 0. Bantamweight. A weight in boxing and other sports between flyweight and featherweight. Belay. Fix a rope around a rock, pin, or other object to secure it. Benzodiazepine. Any of a class of organic compounds used as tranquilizers, such as Valium. Birth date. The date on which a person is born. Bobsled. A sled with brakes and a steering mechanism, used for racing down an ice-covered run. Burl. A rounded knotty growth on a tree, often polished and used for handcrafted objects and veneers. Canard. An unfounded rumor or story. Caraway. The seeds of a plant of the parsley family, used for flavoring. Cenozoic. Geology having to do with the era following the Mesozoic era, from about 65 million years ago to the present. Circuitous. Longer than the most direct way. Cloistered. Having or enclosed by a cloister. Concoct. Make a dish or meal by combining different ingredients. Co-star. A movie or stage star appearing with another or others of equal importance. Creosote. A dark brown oil used as a wood preservative. Crumbly. Easily breaking into small fragments. Curio. An object that is interesting because it is rare or unusual. Dative. The grammatical case of nouns and pronouns that indicates an indirect object or the person or thing affected by a verb. Deplore. Feel or express strong disapproval of something. Disclaim. Deny responsibility for or knowledge of something.